Okay, today I want to talk about cash game lineups. This is Zach again with another video for Bankster DFS members. You know, everybody wants to play GPPs because of the big prizes available 100K to first, $1 million, whatever. The point is, with that, they're harder to win because most of the time you have to finish in the top 20, top 30%. And you know, most of them people can enter 150 times. Well, if you're only entering one lineup and five other people are entering 150 times, what are your odds? Cash games is what helps you build success, helps you build your bankroll up. Because cash games, in double ups, you only have to finish in the top 60%. In head to heads, and well, head to heads, you just have to win. But on 50-50s, you only have to finish in the top 50%. So you only need that's the thing I guess I want to try to tell you about. In GPPs, you want all or nothing. You want that lineup that's going to get, like Max Kepler last night had 3 home runs. You want that. But in cash, you just want just enough. You just want to get, because if you finish first in a cash game, it doesn't make any difference than if you finish 500th in a cash game and, the top 500 positions pay the same amount. And the reason for this is, so for baseball, for example, winning GPPs on a nightly basis have been running 190 to 220 points on DraftKings to win. And we all know how DraftKings is with the rake. The prizes outside of the top 10 are not very good. Sometimes not even double your money. Well, in cash games, the minimum cash score can be as low. I've seen it, folks, as low as 65 points whenever the chalk doesn't hit. Now, yes, I've seen cash games nights where the minimum cash has been 120. But on average, it is in between the 100 to 120 range. It's a rare night for cash games to be scoring 140, something like that. Okay? So, with that being said, let's get started. You have $50,000 on DraftKings to build your lineup. With pitchers, you want about 2 times their value. So, for Garrett Cole, his salary is 12.2K. Well, you're going to want at least 25 DraftKings points at that price to not hurt you. Soroka, 11.6. So you're going to want at least 23 points. Okay? The thing about this is, and this is why I don't like spinning up on pitching in cash. In GPPs, it's perfect because everybody knows Garrett Cole has the upside of 50 plus points. But in cash games, the reason I don't like it is because if they suck, even if they don't suck, if they give up 2 runs, that's going to strain you, especially if they're not a strikeout pitcher. Now, Cole is a strikeout pitcher. Garrett Cole, Chris Sale, Max Scherzer are probably the few names that I would consider at top dollar every night in DraftKings Cash. So, what I try to do personally is I try to keep my combined price, because you have to use 2 pitchers, I try to keep my combined price under 20K. Because look at this. If you put Cole and Kershaw together, you only have $3,325 left per person. You're using almost half your available salary on 2 players, 2 pitchers. You would need, for both of them combined, to score at least 50 points, if not 60, to feel good about your lineup that night. That is why I don't like to pay up. If I do pay up, so since Cole already costs so much, I try to select one of these guys in the 7 or less range because that's going to keep me under that 20K for pitching. I don't like spending more than 20K for pitching because if you spend 20K, you only need 40 points. If you spend, if you only spend 15K, you only need 30 points from your pitchers. So a guy that I like tonight, and you might be like, what the heck, is Ivan Nova. The reason is, if we're going to look at his game log, this game against Kansas City where he had 5 innings pitched, only allowed 1 run, 0 walks, 9.7 DraftKings points. He was dominating. He was going to stay in that game. The only thing that stopped was the rain delay. And then against Cleveland, 11 DraftKings. Against Houston, 12 DraftKings points. Look at his price, $5,000. You only need 10 points. And that's perfect because if I think Cole is going to go for 30 plus tonight, which I do think he will against Baltimore, then I need somebody cheap to pair him with. And look at, because it's so cheap, I'm at 17.2 for my pitching. I only need 34 points. Well, heck, Garrett Cole could give me that 34 points by himself, and it doesn't even freaking matter what Ivan Nova does. You feel me there? Another option that I look at is using 2 middle-of-the-road guys. One thing that I love to do is I love to get guys that DraftKings has priced way down because people aren't high on him as of late. That guy, Jacob deGrom tonight, 9.4. Think about it. When are you going to get Jacob deGrom under 10K? And that's what I like to do. I like to look at guys that are underpriced and go to them. A guy like Soroka, I think he is vastly overpriced, so I'm not going to be using him tonight. I'm not going to be using Kershaw at 11.2. I'm only considering Cole. I'm not considering Lance Lynn at 9,700. Are you kidding me? Boyd I like, but I'm probably not going to pay 10.4 against the Twins just because their bats can go off at any time. So that leads me to Jacob deGrom. And with his 9.4, I don't have to go all the way down to Nova. I can use someone like, Stroman at 8.2. So you're still looking about the same salary as you were with Cole and Nova with deGrom and Stroman. Or if I wanted to get a little bit more bold and use Heaney, it's a little bit more. It's 18.6, but still. You get the picture. I'm shooting for under 20K on pitching every night. I don't want to spend up for pitching. Unless it's just a absolutely atrocious slate. But on 14-game slate, basically 8-game slate or higher, that number from 20K goes down. I want it to be like 17, 15. The reason is, with that many games, you're going to have so many bats that could go off. Which bats is what makes the scores go up. The only time I would consider ever paying over 11K for both pitchers is a 4-game or less slate. Okay? So that's kind of the idea. So let's go ahead and build this with that first example I got, because I do think Cole is going to be the chalk tonight. And no, I do not want Young. Sorry. Had to pick the right guy. I do think Cole's going to be chalk tonight. And like I said, Nova is a freebie, basically. Because if I feel strongly enough that Cole will get 30 points, which I do, Nova doesn't matter. So look at Cole. I mean, last game, he wasn't that great against Oakland. But before that, against Chicago, 12 strikeouts, 35 points. 37 points against Texas, 39 points. I mean, he's capable of double-digit strikeouts any given night. And the Orioles, everyone knows how bad the Orioles are. They're bad. Their players are injured. Dwight Smith Jr., we just saw in the other video, he went to the concussion list, so he's not going to be playing tonight. I mean, outside of Mancini, Renato Nunez, but Nunez only does really good against lefties, things like that. So, where do I go from bats? Well, on bats, the first thing, obviously, that I'm going to do, period. I'm going to open up my email. I'm going to go look at the article. I'm going to read the article. Folks, there is nothing wrong. Don't take this the wrong way. There's nothing wrong with doing your own research at all. We encourage it. Bankster DFS is a great community. The thing is, all of these writers, I'm sure they do the same as me. I spend 2 or 3 hours a night whenever I'm preparing the article or the player pool for you guys. So the point is, we've already done the research for you. So, people say, well, I don't have time to research. Well, you don't need to. With Bankster DFS, we've got you. Now, if you're just the type of person that prefers to research yourself, that's fine. What I do personally, if I like a pitcher and then I see Doug is on the same guy, or I see Cody's on the same guy, or Aaron is on the same guy, then I lock it in and I don't even worry about it. I try to drown out the noise, because Twitter, YouTube, Roto Grinders, whatever you want to list off, it's just noise. I'm not saying any of those things are bad. Don't get me wrong. They're not bad. But a lot of times, your gut is correct. A lot of times, stats aren't going to lie. And that's why I try to drown out the noise. Because a lot of times, you get forced into plays that you don't like last night. It was total gut. I had a feeling that Edwin Jackson was going to perform better than he did in his first 2 starts against Colorado and San Diego against the Yankees. I knew, because it was a 5-game slate, every single stinking Yankee was going to be high owned. That's why I only played GPPs. I didn't do any cash because of that. But I had a feeling. I only used DJ LeMahieu and Aaron Hicks in my main GPP lineups. Boom. And what do you know? My gut was right. Luke Voigt went 0 for 3 with 2 walks. Gary Sanchez went 0 for 5. Trust your instincts. Trust your gut. Okay, off of that soapbox now. As far as bats go, I highly, highly, highly recommend to not stack in cash. I would not use more than 3 players from one team. Well, sorry, take that back. I would not use more than 2 players from one team, period. That number would get increased to maybe 3 on a 6 or less game slate. Anything above 6 games, I'm not putting more than 2. And why is that? Well, okay. Take, for example, last night. The Cubs. Peter Lambert from the Rockies making his Major League debut. Major League debuts can go both ways. It can favor the pitcher, or it can favor the bats. So everybody wanted to load up on Chicago bats. And the pitcher comes out and throws a gem. That's why you don't want to stack more than 2. Even the perfect stats, the best BVP, the best right-lefty splits, the best whatever you want to throw in there, can fail sometimes. Like, take for example tonight, Homer Bailey. Everyone's going to want to stack against him. Well, he could still shut down. It's baseball. Anything can happen. If you stack your guys, what happens? Your entire lineup is dead. If you have 4 players in your cash lineup from one team and they get shut out, your night's over. Forget about rooting for anything else. Okay? I don't mean to sound harsh, but it's just the fact that it is. So, what I do on 14 games, I go with the best player at each position that I feel like is there on the slate tonight. If it's 7 or less games, my approach changes a little bit. And what I mean by that is 7 or less games, I pick out the 3 worst pitchers that I hate on the slate that I think are going to do awful. And I pick 2 players from each team. And that's where my success was last night. 5 game slate. I like the Yankees. I like the Rangers. I like the Athletics. So I used 2 Rangers, 2 Athletics, and 2 Yankees. I got the Yankees right, DJ and Hicks. The Rangers, Kiner Falefa was my punt catcher. And then Mazzara, who freaking poo-pooed himself. He got 0. But then I used Simeon. I threw in Trout. I can't remember who else I used. But the thing is, don't stack in cash. So for tonight, I've already done my research a little bit. Third base, I absolutely love Alex Bregman. He's going up against Gabriel Yona for the Orioles, who's not very good. Bregman mashes right-handed pitching. Check out this player pool from Tiers. So Bregman against right-handed pitching, 293 average. He's batting 372 the last 7 days. Or no, 357, sorry. The XWOBA for Yona is 372, which is the expected weighted batted average. Versus right-handed batters, Yona is giving up a 357 average, and then his fly ball and his hard hit is both 34%. While not high, that number is huge. For Tiers, it's the highest number of any pitcher on the slate of the Tiers slate. Don't get me wrong, because Tiers doesn't include everybody. But 357 average. Boom. Lock it in, Bregman. Let me go back to DraftKings. Okay. Another thing I like to do with bats, because Bregman's 5,300. So we know we're going to need to find some value. I try to find guys. Let me see if he's still cheap. He's still way cheap. Look at this. Chris Davis. Lock it in. Lock it in, baby. As a Rangers fan, Chris Davis absolutely mashes. He hammers the Rangers. Chris Davis should never be below $4,000. He has the potential to double dong, triple dong any given night. Lance Lynn is not a great pitcher. He's been pitching well lately, but I don't believe in it. But this is what I mean. Chris Davis. He's a guy that you normally see up there with the Betts, Yelich, Meadows, Story, that price range. But he's $3,900 tonight, so lock it in. Other guys that have been running cheap, not necessarily think I'm going to go there, but look, Jason Kipnis. Anytime you can get a veteran hitter under $3,000, I mean, it just opens up so many other things. Because at 2.7, he only needs 2 hits, 2 singles to hit value. If he gets an RBI double, he hits value with 1 hit. And that's what you want. You want your goal to be 2x, maybe 2.5x. Because 2x at $50,000 is going to get you your 100 points. So, catcher, here's the thing about catcher. I almost always punt catcher. And what I mean by punt is 3,500 or less in cash games, because it's going to open up your value. Why do I do that? Because catcher is statistically the worst hitting position that there is. And I can load up bats by going all the way down. Like the only one, Barnhart is in the lineup tonight. But the only, let's see. I'll just do Maldonado for a second because I know Maldonado's always in the lineup. He's facing Ivan Nova, not exactly a great pitcher. Oh, well, that's the other thing. Actually, I won't use Nova because in cash games, I do not use batters against my pitcher because just it's not going to be a positive result for you. So let me. Okay, here we go. John Hicks. If he's in the lineup, 2,600, whatever. A zero won't hurt you if it's $3,000 or less. So that's why I don't have any problem. And see how it's opened up the value already. We're at 4,200 per player. Now, let's move on. Freddie Freeman, he's another name I want to lock in. The reason is he absolutely crushes Jose Urena. Let me go to Daily Baseball. Let me look up Freeman. Look at this. 3 homers, 8 RBIs, a 391 average in 23 at-bats. Then we're going to go to the tiers player pool because Freeman's in there as well. Freeman hits 304 against right-handed pitching. The XWOBA for Urena's 358. 292 is what Freeman's last 7 days average is. And then against lefties, 288 average that Urena gives up. Urena's fly ball rate is not high, 27%, but his hard hit is high at 40%, which means theoretically would mean 2 extra base hits, things like that. So, another thing, I'm going to go to find him. Another thing that I like to do is I like to get a guy that can get steals. Delino DeShields. Let me tell you a story about Delino DeShields. The Rangers, they seem to not like Delino DeShields. They don't want him to play so bad that they've been putting Joey Gallo in center field. Well, Joey Gallo went to the IL, so that brought Delino DeShields back from AAA. So Delino DeShields is playing like a man on a mission because he's fighting for a roster spot. If he wants to stay in Texas, he's got to perform because he's been historically a terrible hitter. Well, look at this. 12, 16, 15. That's consistency. His last 3 games, all double-digit DraftKings points, and yet his price will not go up. 3,800, 4,000, 4,000. And again, he's at 4,000 tonight. He's got 2 steals in his last 3 games. He knows how to steal bases. Basically, if he gets on, he's going to get steals for you. This game against Baltimore, he had 4 hits. 4 hits. So, no, you're not going to get home runs from Delino DeShields. But you can get doubles and triples because of his speed. And then if he gets on base, you can get these steals. Steals on DraftKings are 5 points. If Delino DeShields walks, and then he steals second and he steals third, you're looking at 12 points and he already hit value, even if he goes 1 for 5 or 0 for 5 with a walk. Does it make sense? Okay. The thing about Chris Davis is I usually don't like playing him in cash games. Now that I go back to this. I usually don't like playing him in cash games because he's usually homer or bust. But he owns the Rangers and his price is low, so I'm locking him in tonight. And the thing is, in cash games, I'm looking for consistency. I want guys that, of course, I want the potential for triple dong night. But I also want a floor. I don't want the floor to be 0. I want the floor to be, like 5, 6 points. So, shortstop. Now I'm at 39.66 remaining per player. I have second, short, and 1 outfield left. Now I'm thinking about, do I want to pay up? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay a value at one position, a mid-range at one position. I'm going to pay up at one of these remaining positions. Do I want to pay up at shortstop? Do I want to pay up at second base? Or do I want to pay up at outfield? Thing about second base is it's one of those. It's probably, I would rank it right above catcher as one of the worst average hitting positions. So I'm gonna find my last value bat from second base. So I'm gonna go down here and look. Who do I want tonight? That's another thing. I'm not going to be using Kershaw, or like in this case, in this particular lineup, I will use DeGrom tonight, but in this particular lineup, I'm not using DeGrom. But I'm not going to use bats against those. So on a night when you have studs like Kershaw, DeGrom, Matt Boyd, Soroka, Cole, you can really eliminate a lot of teams because that eliminates me from using Orioles, from using Twins, from using Giants, from using Marlins, and boom. Okay? So, who do I want? I'm going to keep looking. And this is another case. Lineups can change throughout the day. Because if you see a guy coming up from AAA, he's going to be dirt cheap if he's in the lineup. I would always check the starting lineups. In cash games, you want to target guys that are hitting 1 through 6 in the batting order. So if, like, Rougned Odor has been batting 7th for the Rangers, I like him for GPP because of his cheap price, $3,600. But I don't particularly like that in cash, especially the lefty-lefty matchup. But anyways, you want guys that are hitting well and sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. You want guys, so you could find a guy that may not necessarily always be in the top of the lineup, but if there's an injury, like if Bellinger sits for the Dodgers the other night, Chris Taylor was leading off. Well, that opens up huge value right there because Chris Taylor is always cheap. Okay, I'm going to look at Kevin Biggio because he's got a lefty-righty matchup against Merrill Kelly. Checking to make sure. Consistency, 9, 9, 2, 11, 10. So then I'm going to look at, just to confirm, because this isn't a game that I've researched, I'm going to go look at his splits. Would help if, okay. So he's a lefty facing a right-handed pitcher, and this throws me off from cash games right here. He's hitting 158 average against right-handed pitching. This is another thing that I look at. Last 7 days, a 214 batting average. No thanks. Although, for a punt, you might have to overlook some of those things. Ideally, you don't want the... Okay, Chris Taylor, the guy I was just talking about. Okay, let's do the same thing with Chris Taylor because Drew Pomeranz is a terrible pitcher. So, is Chris Taylor going to give me what I want? Not ideal. 209 average against right-handed pitching. I was looking at the wrong thing. Pomeranz is a lefty. 243 average against lefties, okay? Last 7 days, not the greatest. See, that's the thing. With these punts, you're picking from the bottom of the barrel, the bottom of crap, basically. Nicky Lopez is one I would use if I'm not using Nova in a lineup. So I'm just going to plug in Chris Taylor for now. Then I'm going to back to outfield. Normally, because I already have Bregman at 53 and Freeman at 51. Normally, I don't like to pay three guys over 5K in a cash game lineup. The reason I might consider it tonight is watching games uh, that can really help you. Mike Trout. Look at Mike Trout. Against Marco Gonzalez, 2 homers, a 462 average, and 26 at bats. Mike Trout has been doing well. I watched his game last night. He homered. He homered in the game before that. So he seems like a great play. If I didn't already have Freeman and Bregman, I'd be using him. But see how it drops me to needing a 2,900 shortstop. I don't think I'm going to do it. He's a great GPP play. Or if you don't believe in Freeman or Bregman. So now I'm going to scroll down. Since I already have a 5,100 or 5,300, I'm going to try to find 2 guys right around 4,200 that I like. So let's go to oh yeah, what was his price? Harper. He's 4,700. A little higher than I like to spend, but here's the deal. He's been doing better, 2 for 5, 2 for 5. But here's the deal. Let me go find it. Harper. Okay. Against left-handed batters, Maul or Maley or however you pronounce his name, 299 batting average. His XWOBA is 407, highest on the slate. Hard hit rate of 39. Now, let me confirm Bryce Harper splits. So, Harper, last 7 days, 231. Not the greatest. Versus right-handed pitching, 234, not the greatest. But let me go to 3 year. See, right-handed pitching, 271 over the last 3 years. So the 234 average tells me that he's going to have some positive regression coming against right-handed pitching. And I don't believe in Molly. And see, Harper's 1 for 2 lifetime against him. And Philadelphia is a hitter's park. So now that leaves me 3,800, which is a reasonable price for shortstop. Once again, not using Brendan Rodgers against DeGrom. Machado. They will not raise Manny Machado's price. 2, 10, 4, 22. I don't love Manny Machado. But the thing is, when you can get studs, Chris Davis and Manny Machado, both under 4,000, paired with Freeman, Harper, Bregman, and you have Garrett Cole, I mean, you're cooking with gas right there. So last 7 days, terrible. 111 average. Terrible against right-handed pitching, 222. Doesn't look the greatest, but the Nationals bullpen is terrible. And so I'm looking at Machado to score on the Nationals bullpen. But here's what I'm looking at. So here's my lineup. And I think Cole's going to get 35 points. Bam. If Nova can give me 10, okay. Hicks, let's just go ahead and count that as a loss and say he scores 0. Let's say Freeman gets a home run but doesn't do anything else. Let's say Chris Taylor gets a single and that's about it. Bregman, let's say he does what I think he will do. Maybe a home run, a double, 4 RBIs, something like that. Let's just say he gets 25 DraftKings points. Machado, let's say he gets a steal and a hit. Okay. Chris Davis, homer, is almost guaranteed against the Rangers. Delino DeShields, let's say he doesn't do anything. And then Bryce Harper, let's say he gets 10 points. That's 119 DraftKings points, and it should be good enough for cash games. Keep in mind, that is with my projection of 2 zeros, a 3, and an 8. So, once again, you don't have to have 25 points from every player. That's why you punt some positions. So I'm going to save this lineup. And I'm not going to spend as much time, but I'm actually going to do another one with DeGrom and Stroman just to give you an idea. So if I use the DeGrom and Stroman, then I can use Maldonado because I'm not using Nova. I want to lock in Bregman again because he's my favorite player tonight. Let's go ahead and lock in Chris Davis against the Rangers. Okay, let's say now we want to pay up for shortstop instead. And we look at Tim Anderson against Homer Bailey. Then we're going to punt again. But we're not going to go all the way down. We're going to use Brian Dozier. Homered last night. Did really well. I think he had a double as well. And Marjevis is not very good. He hits lefties pretty well. Let's not use Freeman. But let's get a double dose of that Astros exposure with Gurriel. Let's go ahead and throw in Harper again. And now we're looking at 3,400 from our outfield, our last spot. And then I can throw Kevin Biggio again. So, just so you guys know, because I'm 100% transparent all the time, these two lineups I'm running tonight. I'm going to run them. I mean, I'm not just telling you this and just going to throw it away. And you can also see this is my tiers cash lineup and my tiers GPP lineup. I give you literally everything I do as part of your Bankster membership. And you can use it. You don't have to use it. But that is one thing that, as someone that has been part of a service that was providing for people before, but that guy wasn't exactly truthful, he would give us lineups, but he would play other lineups. And so I don't do that. If I tell you I'm on a guy, I'm on a guy. Like Ariel Hirado last night. I had almost 100% exposure. I touted him up on the Slack chat because I liked him, but I use him. Joe Musgrove the other night, 2 nights ago, I used him. I don't just bullshit you. I give you lineups. I give you an example of how I've done it. I do my articles, and I help you. I hope this can help you guys with cash games. As I mentioned in the other video, my inbox on Twitter, on Slack, on emails, always open. Any questions, just let me know, and I will get back with you. All right? Thank you.